right, well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the IoT Expo. It's great to be here in person. It's been a long 2 years with all of us with COVID, but it's great to be back in person. So it's also great to be in Fort Lauderdale. Who doesn't like the beach, the sun, and a convention center? So all kidding aside, it's an honor to have a chance to speak with you all today. For my presentation, I want to start out with a question. Question is, are mission-critical workers making the most out of data? It's a rhetorical question. I know most of you have concepts, ideas. Carl mentioned a little bit about 911, but with that, it's a critical need in our industry. And I want to take a second to really talk about a testimonial from one of our customers that provides a decent example of where value is at the endpoint with our mission-critical workers. And this comes from one of our utility customers, Gainesville Utility up in Florida, of course. But this particular customer, through the use of our Toughbook, and I'm not here to sell you Toughbooks, I promise you that, but I want to impress upon you the value of data. The value of data and multimedia content does have a direct impact to our mission-critical workers, providing much more information for efficiency, content, deliverables, and of course, customer service. So there's so much data out there, and it's how we make the most of it for our mission-critical workers. So with that, my name is Mike Smola. I'm the Vice President of Panasonic Connect, and I lead our strategic mobility team. So when most of you think about Panasonic, I'm going to guess that a few of you thought about TVs, DVD players, cordless telephones. We've been in that business for over 100 plus years, and we've built about everything when it comes to technology. But I can promise you we do much more than that. Panasonic is a B2B company. We're offering devices from hardware, software, professional services for the connected enterprise. We have a diverse portfolio of solutions that include rugged devices, industrial equipment, digital content tools, and we cater to the public sector, federal, government, education, immersive entertainment, food services, and manufacturing industries. So in essence, we work about everywhere, but most importantly, we work with you, alongside you, to really drive the development of content data to really meet customer service for our customers. So with that, everybody's job is critical. So we're not here to downplay the critical, who's critical, who's not, but it goes without saying, the audience I am talking about today are those on the front lines, those that are in the most rugged, rural, extreme conditions where every minute counts. These are the individuals and agencies that protect our borders, that protect our neighborhoods, keep our lights on, keep our communication data lines working, and offer those critical emergency services. So these folks work 365, 24/7. They work in extreme temperatures where it's rain, shine, hail, you name it. They need technology when it matters most. So when you think about when digital transformation and IoT really came to the greater enterprise, it really was easier received inside the four walls, but when we transitioned outside the four walls, it became a completely different story. These groups faced overwhelming challenges to digitally transform, but I believe, and I hope to impress upon you today, that there is tremendous opportunity and benefit for IoT as it relates to our mission-critical workers. According to Deloitte, public service will be hardest hit by the sudden loss of talent and historical institutional knowledge. We've seen what's happened over the last 3 years with the pandemic, coming out of post-pandemic. A lot of these jobs are being transitioned. We've had the great resignation. We're seeing critical workers move on to greener pastures. The blue-collar workers out there that maintain our infrastructure are moving on. So we have to really recruit, enable, and make those workers that exist much more efficient. And to do that, we really have to enable, again, that data content to make sure where productivity can be positioned right for the necessary tools that they need. These guys work in high-stress environments, high-risk situations, and it's really critical that we help them out. So we're all here to talk about IoT and how we can support these mission-critical industries. Agencies are looking for help from us. It comes to planning, deploying, maintaining these technology to help them with fiscal and operational sense So we all see the value. How do we act upon it, and how can we make our IT the best results-driven scenario we can create? So when we talk about the problem that we face with the mission-critical workers is making the most out of that data is really public customers, are really disparate. They face a lot of at-scale challenges due to the headwinds of interoperability, installation, cybersecurity, privacy, change management, you name it. Most of these folks, operate again in the rural, remote. Doesn't lend itself to enterprise data. Connectivity is not always a guarantee. When you're in the middle of Nebraska or the middle of Iowa and you're in these dead zones, having critical access to data is a challenge. So we're working to help maximize that potential and help them with this challenging situation. On top of that, we see a lot of applications. A lot of these folks, when we talk about small municipal police forces, a lot of these folks use homegrown applications that they've developed in-house. Most of these applications have very siloed data, very limited data collaboration, so it's always a challenge for them. And then on top of that, they have very limited resources for IT operations. So most of these folks are operating with 1, 2, maybe 3 IT folks to help them propagate the infrastructure that they need. So it's our challenge, again, to really enable the IoT adoption and the results-driven IoT. So when we look at this slide, we look at things that are often considered with data. The data isn't accessible, digestible, actionable, and ultimately can be unreliable. So let's put this in a real-life example where a critical decision has to be made. So hopefully you haven't experienced this, but if you ever have, imagine a police officer driving down the road and pulls over a car, due to some suspicious activity or a traffic violation. When that officer pulls over that vehicle, the first thing he does is he captures the license plate information, runs the license plate information to ensure that, one, this car is not stolen, the rightful driver's in it, and it has not been reported. Second, when he takes your driver's license, he's taking that driver's license back to his vehicle and running your information through a number of databases. So he's running it through a local, state, federal, mental health database. It's not uncommon for these officers to have 10+ applications open at one time on their laptop in their vehicle. None of these applications speak to each other. So they are in a position where they are making critical life decisions of what to do, how to react to the individual that they're pulling over in a matter of seconds with disparate data. So it's this that we have to really address. How can we enable data to be more visualized, apply it, move it to the next step, and really help them with these challenges? So the thing we get asked the most, how do we make this data truly digestible and accessible? And that is always the single pane of glass. Everybody wishes for this, that you could have one screen that gives you all the critical information that you want to make the right decisions, to take the right actions, to the right expectations of your customers. So it's a challenge. So I want to provide an example of one thing Panasonic is working in the utility industry, and that is using a lot of input technology, be it from AR, GPS, the concept of digital twins, but it's enabling the infrastructure visibility to our frontline utility workers to have access to what we would call substrate infrastructure so that they can see information through their screen, moving it around, and be able to identify where data transmission lines, gas lines are, piping of any intent, so they can make the right decision. So every one of us have had called the power company and reported that our power's out, our gas is off, our data lines are down, but how to take action of that is always not easy. There's a lot of searching and that we have to do to find where that problem exists. Being able to incorporate this type of data point technology allows us to have that single pane lens to really drive it into actuality. So what's the key to this approach? One, it's people, products, and process. All of us are part of this kind of ecosystem, and it takes us working together to make this happen. It also takes a lot of connected access points. And there's a whole lot here. I think all of us have been shopping and seen all the different data points that can come in to each one of our products. I'll run through these pretty quickly. Drones, we're seeing a lot of propagation of drones. These are, the eye in the sky. These particular products can do so many things, not just deliver packages, but they can also take air samples. They can help do, heat identification if there's a fire. There's a lot of things that drones can do from their strategic position. Smart helmets, addressing if there's an impact or a concern for a health risk due to a crash. These smart helmets can immediately call 911, give you time, location. They can also offer you communication through microphone as well as a heads-up display. So there's a lot of critical information that we can be gathered from just a helmet. Smart glasses we've all seen, from AR, access to different applications, enables us to see, manipulate our environment with core data to make things work. Phones, this is our Panasonic N1. Phones have been a mainstay. If everybody has a teenager or a young kid, they know that life can't exist without a phone. But they do offer a tremendous amount of access to, again, data, communication, GPS, photos, videos. They do a lot to bring the input of data. Body-worn cameras are also out there providing POV content back. We wish for the day that POV content is real-time, so we can actually address information, make decisions based on that real-time information. And the list goes on. Smart boots, this is a new one I really hadn't heard much about, but imagine if you're a utility worker working on a rainy day and you need to understand specifically if there's a charge in the ground, or you need to understand if there's a hazard. Your boots can tell you that answer. The boots can do the sensing to see if there's any charge or voltage that's moving through the ground to help you with that health concern. Integrated biosensors from gloves to wristwatches. We can now understand exactly what's going through from a health perspective, our critical workers, from blood pressure to how many steps, all the information I know we all track personally, but we can understand how that affects workers in the field. Gesture control becoming quite popular in our cars, but imagine a time where you could be working in your vehicle or in these extraneous situations and be able to give up the keyboard. Use gesture control like Tony Stark did in the Avengers and manipulate data and really make it actionable. I want to give you guys an example, and this is a high-level example of where drones are being used. We have a customer, Southern California, that's a municipal police department. They have a very aggressive program where they're using drones in their infrastructure. Again, it's a small municipality, but what's really amazing is they have the ability to launch a drone at the point of a 911 call. They can launch this drone typically within 2 to 4 minutes and have it on location, eye in the sky. You might ask, that's a little over the top, a little spying, but it makes a big point. And an example I'll give you, which is a real-life example. Imagine, this young white male walking down the street, brandishing a gun. Call comes into 911, white male walking down the sidewalk, has a gun. Immediately, the police are dispatched. They're coming to, initiate a call to understand what the critical point is. Drone is launched. So when the drone is launched, brings overhead video, and we're talking 4K video at around 200 to 400 feet. So they can take sound, clear, concise video, and they can upload that streamed video directly to the police car so officers know what situation they're getting into. And in this particular situation, what the officer found before he arrived was, in fact, a 12-year-old boy carrying a squirt gun. This situation could have escalated to be something worse, but it quickly, based on critical data at the right time, immediately de-escalated. So we went from all points bulletin to one car coming to do more of an educational scenario versus reacting. So this, again, is just a small example of how data makes a difference in decision-making for our critical workers. So all of us in this room, it's a collaboration that we are working together between hardware, software, services, and it's the partners and accessories, and it's the ecosystem that we are create that really enables this future state. It takes all of us, because if one of these tenets fell, be it the software, the hardware, data goes nowhere. So we are looking to ways to find organizations on how we can rethink workflows, implement change management, to enable the increased labor and security demands wherever the worker needs it to talk to each other. Data is no good without software to support it. You need software to get these insights. And if we look back at the scalability, so how do we address security? Well, you can address security through many different ways, through our hardware, be it two-factor authentication, ensuring we have reliable connectivity. We've seen our carriers do phenomenal things with the propagation of 5G, and it's always exciting to see 6G up on the board. The data pipe is getting bigger, giving us more access to more of this information and data. But there's so many things we can do as a hardware manufacturer to ensure we have the right content within our computing box to ensure we have the right level of hardware. Is it replaceable, modular, adaptable, to ensure as we work with all of you to drive the software requirements of the future, we have the right input capabilities, be it ports, infrastructure, screen size. We want to be able to adapt so we can partner with you to create that new scenario of the future. So back to the single pane of glass. It's our hope that Panasonic can be part of that console, that visionary device for these future-based workers or critical use workers, so that we can take a lot of the work collaborated so we can visualize it, apply it, and move it into the next step. The single pane of glass helps us with a lot of what we talked about early on. It gives our workers the ability to be more productive, makes them more efficient, accountable, and accurate. And this type of information can be the difference of life or death, or making the right decision at the right time. So back to my first question. Are we taking advantage of the data? I mean, the answer is yes, somewhat. We're taking advantage of the data today, but there's so much more we can do. With our combined efforts, we can truly elevate IoT to be truly evolutionary and impact this group of critical workers in the future. So with that, there's so much untapped potential, and the value of IoT has yet to be fully realized. We all know that. But what's exciting to me most is that everybody in this room, as technology partners, providers, problem solvers, innovators, all of us can work together to collaborate to help solve this problem for our critical workers in the future. So as much as this has us all excited about IoT, we need to just go beyond innovation. Innovative tech is really cool, but it's how we apply it. And it's that development of that ecosystem and that collaboration with companies like Panasonic and all of you that really makes the big difference. So with that, we're all here for one thing, and that is the solution is not one, but it's an integration of many. We want to work with you. We as Panasonic Connect want to start that degree of collaboration and ensure that we're building the right products to match the right software input communications to really drive this into the future. So with that, I wish all of you a great event. Hope that you all get a chance to stop by our booth. That's number 415. We have a lot of great technology, so we'd love to start that conversation with each of you and have an opportunity to begin that level of collaboration. So with that, I want to say thank you. Appreciate the opportunity to speak with you, and I hope you have a great morning and good day.